So our first news story comes from comicbook.com, where they say Pokemon is no longer Game Freak's #1 priority, says developer.
Yes.
Which, honestly, I was talking to Daniel about that earlier. It kind of makes sense, because they know Pokemon's going to sell millions of copies, and they're working on the entirely new series called Town, so it would kind of make sense that they would want to focus on Town as their main priority, because that's the game that could release and lose them tons of money, where they know Pokemon's going to do well no matter what. So, but anyways, they say relying on one series is never good unless that series is Call of Duty, FIFA, or Pokemon. Japanese developer Game Freak has been around since 1989, and since 1996, when it released Pokemon Red and Blue, it has been releasing almost exclusively Pokemon games. I think they forgot about Red and Green, but maybe they're just going with the American releases. And it's gone well for the studio that said it's increasingly putting more priority on making new games, and is even prioritizing new game projects more than Pokemon at this point, according to one developer speaking to VGC. Game Freak programmer and director Masayuki Inouye, I don't know, revealed there's 2 production teams at the studio, one for Pokemon and one for new projects. This allows the team to take breaks from the Nintendo series, but it's also becoming a bigger and bigger focus for Japanese studio. In addition to the Pokemon team, Inouye, do you guys know how to pronounce that? Or do I just have to continue sounding stupid?
You
can continue.
Probably already doing better than I would.
You're doing the best you can.
Inouye says Game Freak has a gear project teaming, which recently produced Giga Wrecker and is also working on Town. There are 2 different production teams here, simply named Production Team 1 and Production Team 2. That's very, very creative, said Inouye. Team 1 is fully dedicated to Gear Project, while Team 2 is for the Pokemon operation. What that means is that Game Freak as a company is prioritizing Gear Project, which is production team #1, more than Pokemon in general. We are always trying to create something that is equally exciting or more exciting than Pokemon. According to Inouye, there's a lot of back and forth between the 2 teams. The director and designer also pointed out that Team 1 is a bit more diverse in terms of what it can do, because it's working on hardware that isn't just Nintendo hardware. And from the sounds of it, this development approach is making Game Freak more well-rounded. When you're a programmer working on Pokemon, you're one of many programmers. However, as a director of Giga Wrecker, the experience opened my eyes on the other aspects of game creation all the way up to users playing the game. It's really difficult to expect a programmer to have that kind of perspective, but as director, I learned how to make a game more appealing and accessible to players, plus aspects of marketing as well. Gear Project has helped me become more creative. I've now seen the whole process of creation all the way to marketing and selling the game to players. I can now bring that know-how back to the Pokemon team and try to create something different for Pokemon. It's a good synergy between Gear Project and Pokemon creation. So, the first thing that I feel that a lot of Nintendo fans, especially the ones that are hating that all of the Pokemon backlash,
and they were really upset that we didn't hate the Pokemon backlash.
Yeah,
that we were like.
I think the first complaint to them would just be more complaints that if they did focus on Pokemon full time and didn't have their studio separated into 2 teams, then they would have enough people to put all the Pokemon into Pokemon Sword and Shield. But since their teams are separated, they don't care about Pokemon. Obviously, that's what I think a lot of people.
Is quite the right word, but yeah.
I feel those are going to be the comments, though. But yeah, what do you guys think? Chubes, you got some Pokemon played time at E3.
We all played the same demo, Jesse.
Yeah, but
yeah, Jesse.
I didn't really pay attention to mine.
Oh yeah, that's right. Jesse played for a little bit, and then he just came and filmed me do terribly at it.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
I pulled out a fire type out of water.
Yeah, that's not right.
No.
Scorbunny was not the right choice against Dreadnought, who's a rock and water type.
Very embarrassing. Anyways, I feel like Jesse kind of mentioned this a bit. I feel like a lot of people aren't really gonna notice, and a lot of people probably aren't really gonna care too much. But at the same time, it also really kind of gives the company more to work on. Because can you imagine, like, working for a company and the only game you've ever done is Pokemon?
Yeah.
how do you go out and apply for other jobs with that? Like, yeah, sure, like, Pokemon is huge. That's amazing. That's such an awesome opportunity. But it doesn't show any diversity coming from, like, a hiring standpoint and for building a portfolio. So I feel like that's probably a good way to kind of break it up. Because honestly, like, what if these people don't even like Pokemon? Can you imagine?
If the
You
developers
get hired on by
don't like
Game Freak and
Pokemon,
you're like, yes, I'm so excited for this. I don't like Pokemon that much though, and this is all I'm doing. Maybe Game Freak has some like really crazy idea for like a different game that they're wanting to do, but they're stuck with doing Pokemon the whole time. So it also gives them as a company an opportunity to branch out. But
Yeah,
that's
which
just
is
me
always
talking out my nose hole.
Yarp.
right? And what about you, Geek? What are your thoughts on the Pokemon? Yeah.
I'm still waiting to see more information on town because ever since I first saw anything about that, I was like, this seems interesting. I want to know more, and we haven't heard anything since. So I think, like other things that have been said, you know, they've been doing the same thing for so long. Surely they've had all of these ideas pent up that they're like, this wouldn't work for Pokemon, but it could work for something else. So now they might be able to like finally do that. And I, at least knowing how easily I burn out on things, I imagine a lot of them that maybe have been working there a long time are like, oh, sweet freedom, I love Pokemon, but sweet freedom.
All right. And finally, you, Lucy. What are your thoughts on all this?
I concur.
All right.
Right on. I noticed Kyogre in the chat says, as long as we have a great game from it, because the last few generations have been kind of mediocre, I'm fine with sacrificing a few Pokemon. And I think that pretty much sums up my feelings too. Like, just as long as it's a good game. And if they want to try something new and split their team, like, I don't see any problem with trying new things. So, yeah. People gotta calm down.
I don't
Also,
have all
did
my
they
Pokemon
rename-
and the trees don't look right.
Sorry,
Oh my
unrelated, but did they rename the Dynamax thing? Because, like, the Pokemon Twitter tweeted something about a, like, Gigantamax?
It's a different thing.
Okay.
What?
I was
Oh.
very confused when I saw that tweet, and I was like,
Yeah, now I'm lost.
and other people had retweeted it, being like,
So
I
does
watched
that mean-
Austin John play. He covered it, and I was like, oh, okay. So
Yeah, they showed off a
It's a
cool,
different thing.
like, ghost type gym leader or something like that. That was really cool.
Alistair.
Ah. Does that mean Jigglypuff's final smash in Smash Bros is just now they're gonna rebrand it to Dynamaxing? Because that's all it is she just grows
Oh, yeah.
gigantic for like
Oh my
10
gosh.
seconds. Also, a fly flew into my water and drowned, and I don't get to finish my water, so
That's
Daniel,
so
just drink the
unfortunate.
fly.
So,
no, I'm not gonna drink the fly. I dumped it in my wife's plant.
yeah, he's vegetarian. He can't drink flies.
It's water. you
You're
can
gonna
dump
overwater
water.
her plants.
It's
Not gonna
fine.
drink fly. Oh no.
This is why Fern doesn't stand a chance. Anyways, any other
Fern's doing
thoughts about
great.
this? Should we move on?
I don't. So I want to know what everyone has been complaining about the Pokemon games. So just out of curiosity, do any of you have any legitimate complaints about Pokemon, or do you want to jump on the tree bandwagon?
Random encounters.
Random.
Why would they
encounter?
bring it back? Like, they moved away
Is
from it.
it brought
and I was
back?
like,
I'm
that's
so
good,
confused.
but it seems like it kind of is, but it seems like 50-50 almost, you know?
Yeah, I thought it
Like,
was
I
like a mix of
understood.
both.
Like, I felt like Random Encounters was just a gimmick that was made up because the systems couldn't handle it. Like, you know, a Game Boy couldn't handle generating all of those Pokemon, and now it's like, it's just annoying, so it should be gotten rid
But
of.
it's what people know, so they.
Which I
they don't wanna
understand.
change, which I don't agree with. I hate random encounters in games. I just find them
No, I hate them too.
superbly annoying.
I understand the nostalgia. That's how I was with Breath of the Wild when I first heard about it. I was like, I don't want them changing all of this, and then I was like, actually, this is great. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm tempted to not get the game if it's random encounters because I feel like it just makes it a grind. I can't stand it.
That was my big obstacle with Octopath Traveler too. I still never finished it because I'd be walking from place to place and it was just like, oh man, do I ever fight 5 Ratmen again? Like, just, it's not a good game mechanic, guys. It's an old game mechanic that has aged poorly.
You have to
Also, the
stock
world
up
feels
on
so
all of the
cool
repel.
with all the Pokemon in it.
It's true.
Which I feel
It's
like the
cool
world
to
of
see
Pokemon.
them. It's cool to walk through the forest and see Pokemon in the grass and.
I understand if it's like a
Butterfrees
smaller
flying around
Pokemon
and
though, you know, like a Caterpie, you can.
Sure.
Random question though, like what is it about random encounters that you guys don't like so much? Like for me, I think having the Pokemon show up, the only real benefit of that for me is it makes it easier to grind for shinies, but I don't...
Well, it also makes it easier to avoid, like if you're looking for one type of Pokemon or whatever, then you can avoid it, right?
Yeah,
but it's just,
and then also with random encounters, you don't really get a choice. You just kind of walk through the grass and it's bang!
And just shows up. And it just interrupts everything. I don't
You're
like being
dead, going through a peaceful stroll? Not anymore.
Nope.
Okay, cool.
You know what game handles random encounters superbly well? Earthbound. That game, you see the enemies, and if it's they'll go after you and stuff, but like you can avoid them. It's sort of that middle ground, and that game is the best example of random encounters.
What about the random encounters in Zelda 2?
They're close to that, but just they show up, but they're still super unavoidable. To be honest,
They are the most annoying.
They're really bad.
Because in Pokemon or normal RPGs, you can just like tap the button and quickly move on.
She gone.
Oh,
She gone.
she must really love Zelda 2. No, but in Zelda 2, you have to like actually be active and walk across the screen and dodge the enemies and stuff. You can't do that in Pokemon.
Mm-mm.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like for me, I never really random encounters never really bothered me. Honestly, like the only reason why I'm not a big Pokemon fan is because I get through like the first fight. I do this thing where I'm like, I'm gonna play all the Pokemon games from the first one to the last one, and then I get halfway through Pokemon Yellow or something, and I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And then I just stop.
I mean,
Oh, she back.
for me personally, I do like the random encounters. Probably a lot of it is because I haven't played many of the newer games. So I do have that Pokemon nostalgia because I grew up from infancy because I had older relatives who were into Pokemon, watching it, playing all the early games. And I will admit there definitely have been times where it has gotten annoying. And like if you run out of repels or whatever. And for me, my biggest issue was in cave. I didn't mind in like grassy areas or whatever, but when you got in a cave, that's the only place that random encounters really bother.
Because it's so close cornered. You always run into them.
Alright.
Daniel, do you want to take, or does anyone want to take the third news story about Pokemon Snap 2?
Pokemon Snap! Pokemon Snap! Pokemon Snap!
Okay, sounds like Chiblima wants it.
Alright. This is a very short one. Wow. Alright. Here we go, guys. Alright. Alright. Sorry, I'm having a difficulty. What in tarnation?
What in tarnation?
How did?
Wow, I feel the love.
Okay.
What?
Something wild happened.
RPG. I feel betrayed.
Hey everyone, it's me again, 𝐼𝐧𝐬𝐢. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching this video. And you know what? If you're a fan of videos like this, you should totally subscribe and give this video a like and comment below to let us know what type of videos you would like to see us create in the future. And if you would really like to support all of us here at the Game Over Jessie channel, please consider purchasing a Game Over Jessie t-shirt or becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/GameOverJessie, where you can receive many rewards, such as getting shoutouts, having any topic or theory that you select discussed on the podcast or made into its own video, having your question answered, joining on as a guest on the podcast, and playing with us during our Twitch live streams at twitch.tv/GameOverJessie, and much, much more.